Welcome back to My Life on a GLP-1, the podcast where we talk about the real lived experiences being on these amazing weight loss medications. I'm your host, Scott Johnson.
And I'm Sarah. And Scott, I have a very important question before we even get started today.
Oh boy, should I be afraid? Okay, hit me.
Did you sleep well last night?
What a sweet thing to ask. You know what? I actually did, which is relevant because today we are talking about sleep. Specifically, why sleep might be the most underrated tool in your entire GLP-1 weight loss toolkit.
And I feel like this is one of those topics that people hear and immediately go back to scrolling their phone at midnight.
Guilty. Historically, very guilty. But I want to make the case that on a GLP-1 journey, we're talking Mounjaro, Zepbound, all of it, sleep isn't just nice to have. It is actually part of the engine. And if it's not running right, the rest of the engine can't fully do its job.
Okay, explain that. Because I think most people think about this journey in terms of two things: what you eat and how you move. What does sleep have to do with it?
So this is where it gets genuinely fascinating. Let me put my nerdy science cap on for a moment. So there are two hormones that regulate hunger, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is the one that says, hey, you're hungry, eat something. Leptin is the one that says, hey, you're full, stop.
Good cop, bad cop. Okay, so our hormonal police.
Exactly. And when you're well rested, they kind of balance each other out. But when you're sleep deprived, even modestly, ghrelin goes up and leptin goes down at the same time.
So your brain is getting louder hunger signals and quieter fullness signals simultaneously.
At the same time. And here's the kicker. GLP-1 medications are specifically trying to amplify satiety signals. They're doing what leptin does, but better and longer. So if you're not sleeping, you are actively running a counter program against your own medication.
That is not great news for people who are proud of their 5-hour nights.
No, it is not.
Okay, so that's the hunger piece. What else?
Cortisol. Sleep deprivation raises cortisol. That's your stress hormone. And chronically elevated cortisol is associated with increased fat storage, especially abdominal, and it promotes insulin resistance.
Which is the exact thing that GLP-1 medications are helping to improve.
Right. So one of the things people celebrate on this journey is better blood sugar regulation, improved A1C, reduced insulin resistance, and poor sleep can quietly erode all of those gains while you're carefully tracking everything else and wondering why your progress has slowed down.
That is a sneaky saboteur.
The sneakiest. And then there's one more piece that I think really surprises people: muscle preservation.
Tell me more.
Rapid weight loss, which is what these medications enable, comes with a risk that doesn't get talked about enough. You can lose muscle alongside fat, and the ratio is significantly influenced by protein intake, resistance training, and sleep quality.
That all makes sense, but sleep quality? How does sleep affect that?
During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, responsible for tissue repair and muscle synthesis. When sleep is inadequate, that gets suppressed. Your body literally has less capacity to preserve lean muscle during the weight loss phase.
So you could be hitting your protein and lifting weights, and still quietly losing more muscle than you should be.
Without knowing it, the fat to muscle breakdown in your total weight loss matters enormously for long-term health.
Okay, I'm gonna take sleep very seriously right now. What does this look like in the real world, though? Because people know this stuff in theory and still don't connect the dots.
The symptoms of sleep deprivation are easy to chalk up to other things. Hungrier in the evenings? Must be stress, less motivated to move, tired from work, mood off, busy week, scale not moving, normal plateau.
None of which point to sleep.
You're right, Sarah. None of which point to sleep. And yet every single one is a documented consequence. And before you adjust your dose, before you overhaul your nutrition, it is worth doing an honest audit of your sleep because it costs nothing, requires no prescription, and may be doing more damage to your results than anything else.
So what actually helps? Because I know you figured some things out.
Consistency of timing mattered more to me than total hours. Same bedtime, same wake time, even on weekends. My body clock stabilized within 2 weeks, and waking up feeling good became actually reliable.
I feel personally attacked by the even on weekends part, but okay.
I know. Second thing, eating earlier made a real difference. GLP-1 meds slow gastric emptying, so food stays in your stomach longer. A late meal creates genuine discomfort that disrupts sleep. 3 hours before bed, minimum.
What about supplements? Magnesium comes up a lot in the GLP-1 community.
Magnesium glycinate specifically. I noticed a difference in sleep depth. Always check with your doctor first, but it's worth asking about. And hydration. When your appetite is suppressed, fluid intake often drops too. Dehydration creates a fatigue that looks almost identical to sleep deprivation,
So sometimes what feels like a sleep problem might actually be a hydration problem.
or both. And one more for people dealing with nausea. Injection timing can matter. If nausea is disrupting your nights, ask your provider about adjusting injection day.
Okay, here's the encouraging part. What happens to sleep as the weight comes off?
It gets better, sometimes dramatically. Snoring reduces. Sleep apnea risk decreases. Your sleep architecture improves. You're cycling through deep sleep and REM the way you're supposed to.
And that feeds back into everything. Better mood, better motivation, better metabolic function.
It compounds in the best direction. The weight loss improves your sleep, and better sleep supports more weight loss. The journey starts working for you.
I love that. The honest question, how many hours are you actually sleeping? Not in bed, actually asleep.
There is a difference, and most sleep-deprived people aren't aware of how big that gap has become. 7 to 9 hours isn't a luxury. That's the physiological environment in which your medication is designed to operate.
Give it the environment it needs. And speaking of our environment, let's just give a shout out to this community we all have together. Every week you keep tuning in and sending us your emails. Thank you for your ongoing support. Whether you are a dedicated listener or new to our podcast, thank you for being here, and please don't forget to give us a 5-star rating wherever you stream. And if you learned something today, you should check out Scott's book on Amazon because chapter 46 is all about the importance of sleep. Now, tell us, Scott, do you have any final thoughts on our rather sleepy topic today?
Thanks, Sarah. The medication is doing its job. You just have to let it. I learned this the hard way, on the wrong side of a 10-week plateau and a large format cold brew habit that I have since retired for reasons that should be obvious. Sleep is not where your weight loss journey pauses. Sleep is where a significant part of it happens. Thank you for tuning in, and please don't forget to check out the latest blog articles on my website at My Life on GLP1.com. I will be dropping hints there at a few big reveals as we get into summer season. So, on behalf of Sarah, I'm Scott Johnson, reminding you that 7 to 9 hours for most adults is not a luxury. It is not aspirational. Have some sweet dreams, and always remember to love your journey. See you next time.